February 20th, 2021. I am just so frustrated with myself. 3 exclamation points. Ugh! Exclamation points. Why can't I ever get enough done? What is wrong with me? 3 exclamation points. I work all day and I can never get enough done. Ugh! 3 exclamation points. I am so frustrated I could cry. Today my brain felt so foggy, and as much as I wanted to take a break and do things to make my headache go away, I powered through anyways. I am so frustrated. My brain sucks. I wrote that journal entry when I was just finishing up grad school, drowning in readings and assignments, and honestly, even though it's been a year and a half now since I wrote that journal entry and I'm done school forever now, my brain still operates like that a lot of the time. I think that's pretty much been my brain's default state since high school, when like a lot of people that have gone through the educational system, I developed academic anxiety, and that feeling of just being displeased with myself if I don't get as much done as I'd like to has been at least present at a low grade level since then, since high school, which was 10 years ago for me now. And honestly, I did not even realize how toxic of a mindset this was until last year, and I talked about it a little bit in one of my previous videos. I watched a video by Ali Abdaal about his toxic relationship with productivity, and before I even clicked on that video, just seeing the title made me realize oh my god, I have a toxic relationship with productivity. So 2 months ago, back in February, I went back to my parents for a weekend, and I challenged myself that weekend to not do any work for just one day. And I'm even embarrassed to say that I even had to challenge myself to do that. It should just happen, but it was hard, y'all. I noticed I kept having these urges throughout the day to just open my laptop and do something, and that's when I realized I have a problem. It's been over a year now since I made that video, and in this video I wanted to talk about some of the things that have been working for me to heal my toxic relationship with productivity, because everything these days seems to need to be healed. First, let's go over some of the signs of a toxic relationship with productivity. One of the main signs is if you feel guilty for taking a break. If you feel anxious or stressed when you're resting because you feel like you should be doing something productive, and you feel like you don't deserve a break until you finish everything under the sun. I recently went on a week-long vacation to British Columbia in Canada, and it was so amazing. It was a much needed break after a pretty stressful time at work, and I felt so much more recharged after being out in nature for a week. But for the first few days I was there, I couldn't help but notice I had this nagging feeling that I didn't deserve to be on vacation. Why does my brain do this? Luckily, that feeling went away after a few days. I guess I just needed some time to switch gears or something. But if you're like me and you are stressed when you're working, but you're also stressed when you're not working, so that when you're resting, you're not truly resting, it might also be time for you to reevaluate your relationship with productivity. So join the club. Another sign is if you feel unsatisfied with yourself or inadequate when you don't finish everything on your to-do list by the end of the day. When I don't finish everything on my daily to-do list, no matter how unrealistic or unattainable that list is, I end up going to bed feeling very displeased with myself. And I know it's like I'm setting myself up for failure. It's very unhealthy. Speaking of unhealthy, if you are sacrificing your health, and this includes your physical and your mental health, and you feel like you don't have time to take care of yourself, and you are neglecting your own basic needs for the sake of productivity, my girl or my guy, please, please, please look at your relationship with productivity. And these 3 signs I've mentioned, I think, are kind of branches off of a main root cause of a toxic relationship with productivity, which is that you tie your self-worth to how productive you are. You only see yourself as a valuable and worthy person when you've met these arbitrary standards of productivity that you've set for yourself. So if you feel attacked by anything I've said in this video so far, hi, hello, I am also attacked. I understand the toll that this type of mindset can have on you, and I don't want you to be going through that too. So I wanted to share some of the things that have been working for me to fix my relationship with productivity, and I hope you can find some of these things helpful too. The first thing that really helped me was to reflect and think about where exactly did my toxic relationship with productivity come from. And personally for me, I realized it came from the way I was brought up pretty much. I had pretty traditional, strict Asian parents that, put really high expectations on you to achieve and be successful. And I saw that when I got good grades and I worked hard, I got validation from my parents. And that's how I learned to seek validation as a child. And that's how I continue to seek validation as a grown-ass adult. Except now, I don't need that external pressure from my parents because I have this internal pressure that I put on myself. So I've essentially become my own strict Asian parent. So I'd also invite you to reflect on, where did your toxic relationship with productivity come from? Why do you tie your self-worth so closely to how productive you are? Was self-discipline and hard work also reinforced and celebrated in your life? Or did you also get love and respect and validation for working hard and achieving? And maybe your toxic relationship with productivity didn't come from your upbringing specifically. It could have come from just existing in hustle culture and these societal narratives to hustle harder and see busyness as a badge of honor. No one is born believing,
I should be working all the time, otherwise I'm an unworthy person.
That belief got picked up somewhere, so I'd really recommend doing some reflecting to see, where did that belief come from? And having that awareness is the first step to then changing that belief into something healthier. Something else that really helped me was really having a strong critical eye when consuming any kind of productivity hacks content. I do consume a lot of content in the productivity YouTube niche, and it has taught me a lot about time management and beating procrastination. But when I watch these videos, I can't help but notice that most of them are made by wealthy cis men. And I have found myself on multiple occasions watching a productivity hacks video made by some rich dude and then beating myself up for not being as productive as this rich dude. When you are not a dude and you have a menstrual cycle, it's much harder to stay consistently productive when your hormone levels, which actually have a huge impact on your productivity, aren't even consistent themselves. And even if you don't have a menstrual cycle, I still really urge you to not take just any productivity advice you hear at face value, and first think about, where is this advice coming from? How is this person's life and situation maybe different from mine? And is the advice they're giving applicable and realistic to me given who I am and where I'm at in life? Because a lot of the time the advice you hear is pretty general. It's like,
wake up at 5 a.m. and then work out and read and journal and then find 3 hours of uninterrupted time in your calendar for deep work.
And depending on your situation, this type of advice might just be unrealistic. Like if someone had young kids at home, or if they did shift work, or if you just had a lot of life responsibilities, this type of blanket advice just is not helpful. I mean, hopefully we're all already consuming any content we find online with a critical eye, including this video, guys. But if you also struggle with your relationship with productivity, that rabbit hole of productivity hacks videos can be pretty tempting. So if we do find ourselves watching this content, it's gonna be really important that we do so with a hefty pinch of salt. Another thing that really helped me was to redefine what productivity means to me. A lot of the time when people think about productivity, they think about working for as many hours in a row as possible, or doing the most amount of work in the least amount of time. And obviously this can lead to a lot of unhealthy behaviors. So I've redefined productivity for myself, and now I see it as intentionally spending time on the things that matter to me the most. So personally for me, yes, my work does matter to me, but it doesn't matter to me the most. What matters to me even more is my health and my relationships. So that means that Things like going out for a walk in nature or spending quality time with friends also count as being productive. And on the flip side of that, anything that is detrimental to my health is unproductive. So sacrificing sleep for work, unproductive. Not allowing myself to take a break when I clearly need one, unproductive. Not respecting myself and my own needs, unproductive. And probably the simplest yet most effective thing I've done to heal my relationship with productivity has been to simply choose to be satisfied with what I've accomplished at the end of the day. I am embarrassed to admit that this is a brand new concept to me. Like, I was mind blown when I realized, wait, I can just choose to be content with the amount of work I've done by the end of the day. Like, what is the point of beating myself up and being like,
I was so unproductive today. Ugh, like, why do I suck? Who am I?
Like, it doesn't change anything about the actual amount of work I've got done by the end of the day. All it does is make me feel bad about myself for no reason. So instead, I tell myself that it's okay to choose to be satisfied with what I've accomplished that day, because it doesn't change anything about the objective reality. All it changes is my experience of it, and it makes me feel better about myself. So those are some of the things that I have been doing to heal my relationship with productivity. This is definitely still a work in progress, and I have a feeling that my tendencies towards toxic productivity are probably gonna have to be something that I'm gonna have to manage long term. But I feel like I've come a long way since that very angsty journal entry. I hope you got some value out of this video, and if you have any tips on having a healthy relationship with productivity, then please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear. And my hope is that with all of these tips that we collect, we can get to a point where we work sometimes and rest sometimes and feel just as happy and satisfied while doing both. Until next time, I hope you're staying healthy and staying safe. Bye.